Hey, I wanted to answer a few questions about my craft key growing setup here, specifically about the racks that I use and how I have my lights set up. So you can check out my other videos if you're interested in the basics of growing in a craft key system, which is a very simple hydroponic system that requires no pumps, and anyone can do it. It's very, very simple. I also use it, as you can see here, to grow some of my sprouts. These are soil sprouts, and I do have a video for that too. You can find all kinds of links below in the description to get details on that. But I do want to talk about this rack. This is the first rack that I bought back in 2018. It is, I believe, 82 inches tall. The shelf depth is about 18 inches and the length is 48 inches. So what I have here are 4-foot Barina LED lights. These are super brights. And down here, if you can tell, a little bit more of a yellow cast, these are full spectrum lights. And again, I did do a video comparing these two lights to see which did better with growing vegetables and starting seeds. Again, you can find that link in the comments. The super brights are relatively inexpensive. I believe for the 4-foot lights, I got a 6-pack for probably around $40, whereas these full spectrum were about twice as much. So again, check out that video, especially if you want to know, is it worth the splurge for full spectrum lights versus super brights? So I do like to keep things simple, and I really have to admit that I haven't gotten around to doing much to change up how I have my lights hanging here. So the Barinas actually come with these little brackets that are meant to screw into like a ceiling or a shelf, and then they snap in. And since I'm just hanging them here, I just strung a piece of baling wire through there and made a little hook. I can take this off if I need to raise my lights. I did add these little clips. These are just like laundry clips or clips that you'd use to hold a bag of chips closed, just so I could easily move my hooks down a little bit lower when I'm starting off seedlings. Not so easy to do one-handed. Another option would be to get baling wire and make several different size loops or hooks so that you can either chain link them together to raise and lower easily, or to completely swap them out. Another simple solution to get your seedlings or your seeds to be closer to the lights without having to move your lights all the time is to put something underneath them. We seem to go through a lot of almond milk, so I save some of my almond milk half-gallon containers and just use them to prop up underneath the lights there. And then I can easily pull these out when the seeds sprout. You could use blocks of wood just to boost those up and get them closer to the light. And as far as those lights, I do have 2 per shelf. And that's just to make sure that everything's kind of got full coverage. Sometimes I will rotate the shoe boxes, so just pull them out, flip them around. The main thing is you kind of just want nice even light. And if you start seeing your seedlings pooling towards one side or the other, you might want to just adjust your lights, either putting them lower or putting them closer together or further apart. I don't have any plants on this shelf right now, and so I think it's really cool that these lights have individual switches that you can turn off and on. I would look for that in your lighting features, especially if you're going to daisy chain these lights together, just because some of my lights don't have the switch, and if I pull the plug on this, it might turn off too many lights. So switch is really nice. Just a little tip to kind of make life a little bit easier. If you have the option to have individual on and off switches on your lights, then go that route. So I do want to talk a little bit about the cost of running lights, since we're all probably growing our own food, not only for the taste and health benefits, but also because we want to save some money. So as you can see, this one grow light uses 20 watts of electricity. One thing to look into is to see if you have off-peak and on-peak usage charges. So it cost me 17 cents per kilowatt for on-peak usage as opposed to 4 cents for off-peak. My off-peak usage is from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m. the following day. So there's a significant savings if I decide to run my lights overnight as opposed to during the day during on-peak hours. So check out your utility bill and see if that would apply to you. There's a handy calculator that you can use. It's called EnergyBot. You could just head over there. It's free to use. And you type in the hours you're going to use per day and the watts, which will be listed on your lights. Then put in your rate. So if I put my on-peak rate in first and get my calculations, I can see my rates per day, per month, and per year. And remember, this is just for one light, so you need to multiply that by the number of lights you're going to have on. Now I'm going to switch this to my off-peak rate, which is around 4 cents. Run my calculations, and then see here that there's a significant savings, especially if you calculate it per year. So kind of revisiting the idea of making sure the lights that you purchase actually have an on-off switch. If I didn't have any plants on this row and I didn't need these two lights off, I would switch them off and save that amount of money in electricity. So just keep that in mind. And that brings me down to this guy. So this here is a timer, and I have all of my lights strung together, so they're linked together, and so I only need to have one plug for this outlet. So I choose to run my lights at the off-peak hours, so they come on at 10 p.m. and turn off at noon the following day. So I'm paying the least amount for off-peak usage instead of running them like you typically would during the day. That is another reason why I like to have the curtains. Since my lights are on overnight, I can close those curtains and there's no ambient light coming under the door, and I have a cat that likes to sleep in here, so the light's not bothering him. So I hope that answered some of your questions on my grow room setup, and if I missed anything, be sure to comment and let me know if I can go into further detail for you.